playground.
Hooray!
We are live here in the bunker in Fort Myers. We did survive the storm.
We're live. Barely.
This is the Outcast Podcast, episode 36.
36.
Trey
Still standing. This episode is the Survivors episode.
3-6 Mafia.
It did take us a week to get the studio back, but it does seem like we survived it. First, before we get started, we would like to, in all seriousness, make sure that we honor those that didn't make it through this storm, because the storm that we made it through, Hurricane Ian here in South Florida, for those of you that listen to the Outcast Podcast from near and far, you probably heard the news. Hurricane Ian swept through southwest Florida, southern part of Florida, and then carved up right up the middle.
Totally.
And affected a lot of areas, but for us, it was a direct hit, and people lost their lives. I mean, TK, we have on the show, Tomcat, I would like for you to go through the emotions you were going through with the storm, because you brought some emotion to me when you called me and said you couldn't get a hold of your mom.
Well, that day I called you, I was I don't know, I was kind of sick to my stomach, because when the storm hit, I was in contact with my mom. She said she was staying on Fort Myers Beach. She was mid-island. Everything North Island got washed away that wasn't like a major hotel, big hotel. So my mom's house could have easily been washed away had she been like 2 miles north. But she survived. And the thing is, I talked to her before the storm, talked to her right in the middle of the storm. I don't know how she got the call, because I wasn't getting calls. And thank God I talked to her after the storm, right after the storm. But in a couple of days after that, her phone died because she was out there, and then no one could get on the island. And I couldn't get a hold of her. So I started like to question if I had talked to her. I was like, did I talk to a ghost? Like, did I really talk to her?
Right.
It started to freak me out. And then, what really freaked me out was my grandmother called me, and she said, Tommy, you talked to your mother? And her voice is like,
she's freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the people that on the beach, Fort Myers Beach, where TK's mother was, they had a storm surge of damn near, 20 feet, which, think about 20 feet, that's 2 basketball goals high up above your house. And if you're elderly and you can't get to the top, you can't evacuate by elevating higher, people passed away. I know they were talking about finding bodies in the mangroves.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Oh, I went down there that day, and it was just total destruction. Boats, giant boats all in the street. Right up to the front, there's, National Guard, and there's I think the sergeant was there by the base of the bridge, and I tried to go over the bridge with my skateboard ready to ride all the way down to her house, and he was like, you can't go because you're not a resident.
And then Memphis, you evacuated. When did you make the decision, and what was the evacuation route?
So when we decided that we were going to evacuate was, actually I made the decision because, like I said, I was telling you guys off air that.
Yeah, you got the dick in the balls, right? Isn't that why you made the decision?
Yeah. So I didn't.
Why didn't you let your wife make the decision? You had to make the decision.
Because she's Florida girl.
She didn't want to go? Did you have to talk her into it?
No, I didn't want to have a situation where she like, I think we'll be okay. I'm like, nah, I told you from the jump when we met, hurricanes, I don't mess with them. You're not going to see me on TV saying, help me. When the weatherman say, hey, it's coming this way, all right, then cool. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to do what's best to stay safe. And
what did you do to secure your home? Because you just recently bought a new home.
Yeah, just bought a house. And so we have our shutters like on the side of our house and everything, and been looking at them every day. Every day we've been in our home. It'll be a year on the week before Halloween. I think the 25th or something crazy like that. So I walk past these things every day, and I'm like, well, one of these days I'm gonna have to put them up. Didn't think it would be that soon. So my neighbor that lives across the road from me was like, hey man, what are you gonna do about the hurricane? And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? He's like, you don't know it's a hurricane coming? I'm like, okay, let me look into it. Oh, snap, it is, but it's going to go to Tampa.
That was the crazy thing.
Yeah,
they said it was going to go to Tampa, I think, until about a day.
It was supposed to hit,
move it towards us.
Thursday that they said it would have hit at Tampa, but then Ian decided that, nah, I'm not, and going to come into Southwest Florida, and it hit Wednesday, right?
It would have been really bad for Tampa too.
Oh, it would have been
might have been even
disastrous.
worse.
It would have been worse
happened.
in Tampa. It would have been way worse.
But the thing was, when it turned like that, it was a stronger storm when it hit us.
It did.
And that was one thing that they kept saying. They said
It would have been even stronger, I think, if it would have went to Tampa. More time over the warm waters.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't seem like that from the prediction that I saw. It seemed like they were saying that if it went up to Tampa, it would land as like a 3 or something. That might not be true because it was such a powerful storm. I don't know. But they made it seem like if it did make that turn towards Southwest Florida, that was worst case scenario. That was something, that phrase that you heard over and over again.
Well, I guess
and we got it.
The worst case scenario
Oh,
happened.
we got it.
So we
what'd you do to secure your house? What did you put up shutters?
Yeah, we put up the shutters, and we kind of had to jimmy rig a few of them there because it didn't line up with how the house was set up from the previous owner.
Right.
So I'm out there knocking things off, and my neighbor and I were drilling into the house. And
it's nice of your neighbor to help you.
Oh yeah, he owns a shutter company too. So thank God
he sold
for
you
that.
the shutters.
No, we had him. He just came and helped me put them up. Me and him cool. We drink a lot and smoke a lot of weed together. So he was like, whatever, dude. And it's pouring down rain and shit. And we out there drilling and securing the house. And I'm like, all right, so let's get in the car.
We might need to start a shutter company or a roofing company.
We gotta do something.
I think we're good here in the studio. I did enough chainsawing and cutting down trees. I got a pretty kick-ass chainsaw that I got pretty good with over the course.
I think I used
of
it
the last
once.
2 weeks. Yeah,
I did use it once when you guys were cutting in the back doing something over there, and I
The
was over
big
here. Yeah, and I was out here cutting and carrying on because I had never used a chainsaw at that
I had
time.
one of the little chainsaws that was on a pole.
yeah. TK came over and helped me. It was nice to see his face, but TK didn't let you know he's coming over. He just show up, which is fine. Anyone's always, at least if you're on the inner circle, you're always welcome to just show up and everything's cool. Just come on over. But he shows up at the perfect time to get himself an egg and bacon sandwich off the grill.
But again,
your timing was impeccable.
That's right.
Because you show up both times. Hey, I'm here now. What's up, man? Oh, the grill's going. I got a sandwich for you. So I was glad to see you show up at that time.
Now, what you
so
don't know is
I
I put
meal.
one of those Nest cameras in your tree over there, and I just be watching you on my phone.
Wait for the smoke to go up.
It's time for
Storm
them to
did not
start
knock
cooking.
it out.
Yeah.
So, Tomcat, as you hunkered down at your house in Cape Coral, Florida, which was in the eye of the storm,
Shit, yeah, man.
what was the moment in which you got scared? Because you did say before the show there were moments where you were scared. Well, describe the moment if you could, please.
Well, there were a couple. When it really started to get close to us and the weather dude started to freak out, as I knew they would. But when they started calling for like 18-foot storm surge at my house, where it is and everything, that was like, get in the car, but where do you go? Because this thing's right there and there was nowhere to go. And getting in the car at that point would have been deadly.
It was too late.
It would have been deadly. So being in the house could have been. But luckily, we did not get that storm surge at my house. And Cape Coral, the way they designed all the canals, there's like a patchwork of just thousands and thousands of canals, and they have access to lower these canals. So it somehow buffered it. They didn't rise. It didn't go over the seawall at all. There were waves coming. When it came in, the waves were going one way, like 2-foot waves. My neighbor on the canal said she was watching the waves roll in. And then when the storm went by, then they went back out. But the crazy thing is, in the street and in my yard during Hurricane Irma, it was flooded. This one almost bone dry because the winds were so strong that there was almost no rain. It was just these winds. It was just a freight train. It sounded like it was like a tornado over my house for 7 hours. I've never been in a tornado before.
Tornadoes suck.
And I've never been in. Lived here for 45 years. I've been in all manner of hurricanes, but never anything that was like boom in the eye wall. And it's such a difference between being in the outer bands as being in that when you're in that eye wall. And I kind of was like always like curious, but no longer, because it's just, it doesn't stop. You're just like, you're praying because it's just like your house is just
your house
shaking.
is just holding on for
this
like
train. It sounds like a train is pulling up outside your house at all times. The whole fucking house. And there was a point where we were 2 hours in the garage trying to hold the door that goes up into the attic down because the winds were so strong. They were coming in from the top of the garage, going up into the attic through the attic door, and they were blowing the attic door up in the air.
Oh, wow.
Like a poltergeist movie. So we had to go in the attic, and we were holding it down, and we were trying to drill it, but it was breaking the frame, and that was making it come down. Then we could have lost the roof. So we had to tie these strings that we had, which happened to be made out of hemp. Go hemp.
Go ahead.
And we tied them around it and then down to, we have a refrigerator in the garage and we tied it to that because we were trying to tie weights to it. Nothing would hold it down. So I tied it to the refrigerator. It was fucking insane.
This is actually my backyard right here. This is the sound from it.
Oh, wow.
That's
So
the actual sounds of Ian.
That's the sounds of Ian from my phone. Let's see if I have another one here.
Well, it was whistling.
Oh, yeah. My phone's making all kinds
If
of
it
noise.
wasn't whistling, it was growling.
Here's another one.
Yeah.
That's me on my back porch. You hear the
Wow.
I
the
can kind of
tin
get a little
roof.
bit of PTSD listening
Yeah,
to
it's
that,
like
dude.
shit.
Bro, there were times where, especially on the backside of the storm, where I started hearing things that were wild, where I could hear it coming down from the atmosphere, like, and it would hit your house like.
When you describe like a freight train, that's kind of what it would do, because it would start out woo, 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 woo,
Yep.
and then it would just get louder and louder, and then
And then
freight
you
train
would feel
right
the
past
hit
you.
the house.
And then
you'd
it would
feel
just be like that for like a long time.
It was 7
just
hours.
kept doing that over and over, like waves hitting your house, but wind,
and
big windy waves.
by the grace of God here at the studio, which when we did the plans for this, initially they were talking about just doing it at floor level.
Mhm.
And luckily we all kind of discussed we should raise it up because this area is known
talking
to
about
flood.
that,
On
I
the
was
floor,
talking
yeah.
about that with my lady.
And
Talking
so
about that.
we raised the floor up by about
Just
a foot.
enough.
And literally, I feel like the good Lord was testing me, because I saw the water come in. It was after the storm. It was the surge. They got 10 to 15 foot surge on the beaches in Sanibel and Captiva. These places that have beautiful resorts.
Oh, amazing.
Decimated the resort where I work. Decimated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tomcat
Blew away the
Can't
stage
even-
I play on 3 days a week. Gone.
can't even DJ there
Nope.
and make money at this point. So it's really been catastrophic.
Send
But
all donations to me.
the water as it's coming in that
We'll just
storm
set up
surge,
a GoFundMe.
we'll
I
make
was
sure
just
you
kidding.
get paid.
No, I don't want
Tomcat.
anything.
We got
I'm
you.
just kidding. I got it.
So the water starts coming in here at the studio, and it's coming in quick. And first thing it looks like it's going to take out is the generator that keeps us on the air.
Oh boy.
And so I run outside during the storm, because that was worth it to me. I've realized by being through these storms in the past,
Gotta have that Jenny.
to me, one of the
Got
number
to.
one things, there's the must-haves on your hurricane survival list. And
Let's
if you can
hear 'em.
afford it,
Let's go down the list.
$700 or $800 gets you a generator.
Now that's a
Right.
big one.
That's probably the biggest purchase that you would spend on hurricane.
You can
prep.
maybe get a cheap one for 5 or 6.
Well, and then a saw for after the storm to chop up the trees.
Do they
And
still do layaway or something like that? Like places, like Walmart or something, that you
I
can
don't
get
know
a
if layaway is a thing anymore. You try to get yourself some credit over there.
Oh, yeah.
They call it a credit card.
keep some keep a couple things of gasoline on hand, or
Yeah,
10.
you definitely want to have gas. That's a good one, TK. You want to have water.
And before the storm hits, this is a hack. You got to fill up buckets of water and then just kind of put them in your tub, or fill up the tub, because you can't flush the toilets. The fucking water goes,
Oh,
and then
that's right.
there's nothing to flush the toilets. And that happened. I thought I was scoffed at that. I was like,
We had a pool, so I knew it.
Boom.
I took a bath 2 times in my spa. Just got in my spa with soap and water and lathered up and got in there, and it was cold. The water was
Oh, I bet.
I jumped in my neighbor's pool. When the storm left on the way out, the suction was so powerful, you could hear it sucking the water out of the pipes. You could listen to your sink. Your sink was going. Did you hear that in your sink?
It threw it. It sucked it out and
The
threw it
most
in.
bizarre sound. I got it on my phone. I should have loaded it up.
Which is why
It's
they
creepy
where
ass
people are on
sound.
the water boil and everything.
And it was all dark in my house. Couldn't see shit. You
Yeah.
hear the storm outside. There's no power. And there was a canal across from us, and they were said 18-foot storm surge in my house, and we lost connect, lost phones, lost everything. No, we didn't have a radio, so we didn't know what the storm was doing, where it was, how long it was going to be on top of us. No one would give us information, and when people were texting us, they were saying stupid shit like "Get out of there!" We were like, "Bitch, you're fucking." We're like Toto and Dorothy right now in the middle of right in the middle of a tornado, and you're like, "Go somewhere." We're floating in the air in a house, I think, right now. I'm not exactly sure where we are.
Another
Kansas.
hack. I got another hack for you. which is take the Ziploc bags and before the storm, fill them up. Get the gallon ones, the Big Daddies. Fill them up,
the big ones.
Fill them up with water.
Good
and then
water.
Seal them off and then throw them in your freezer the night before. Fill your freezer up.
Fill
with
the
these,
whole freezer.
And now you have these big blocks of ice that not only can you use to refrigerate your food, you can even put some of those blocks in your freezer and leave your freezer to be as cold as you could be.
And then during the day, you can take out your super perishables and put them in like a little cooler and take a couple of those blocks out at a time. Keep your other ones.
And as they start to melt and turn into water, now you have some drinking water.
Booyah.
If you melted nice water that you could drink.
Right.
And another hack would be fill some of them up with vodka. Does vodka freeze? I don't know.
I don't think it
I
will.
don't think it won't.
Depend on the proof. I'm sure as any vodka that you'd purchase at your local
that
liquor store.
hack.
would be good.
Scratch that one.
You do want to have maybe some booze if that's your thing. You know, maybe you want to have some weed on hand. If you are a recreational drinker,
Smoke and drink responsibly.
You want to. Yeah, that's actually. I'm glad that you mentioned the vodka, TK, because I think that should be on the hurricane survival list.
Oh,
you need
yeah.
something to ease your mind, whatever
I
it is.
luckily had just enough weed for this storm. I ran out of weed. It was about a week and a day, man. All of a sudden, they had one True Leave open. It was over on Summerlin. Didn't have the one out North Fort Myers is like a freaking methadone clinic. All these idiots are up there. You can't get in. I go to the one down on Summerlin, walk right in. It's like, hello, welcome in. Like nothing ever happened. I'm like, oh, yes.
Now,
Feels so good to be here.
Civilization.
Luckily, I prepared, but the gas too, guys. I don't know if any of you guys had any effect trying to get gasoline for your vehicle. What about you, Tomcat? You were here on the ground. Were you able to get gasoline? Because it was a big story around here. I heard people were waiting 5 and 6 hours for gas.
The foolish people.
Running out of gas while they're waiting in line.
Well, the thing is, they didn't plan. They didn't have enough gas. So I had enough gas to go down to where, and I had people advising me that gas and
Who advised you? Who advised you?
My neighbor.
I thought I advised you.
You did too.
Okay, sorry.
You did too.
I wanted to take some credit, Tomcat.
You did credit. You
Give him his
do.
flowers,
No,
man.
you
Give him his
did.
flowers.
But I think you had to and that's the thing. We were kind of confirming everything. We were hearing things from all these different people. So I kind of exactly forgot who I actually had heard it from, but I know I heard it from him. But everyone was saying the same thing, I think. Go south. If you go south,
you'll find gas.
You'll find gas. There's no lines.
Especially if you got up early. You had to be, as they say, the old saying,
you
early
said
bird
that.
got the worm.
I got up at 6:30. Right as the sun's coming up, got in my car, kissed my lady, said, I'm going to find gas. I felt like a freaking hunter-gatherer.
Yeah, it was
Threw
great.
the gas cans in my car, peeled out, drove past Cape Coral was wild. I seen shit I can't unsee. I drove past people with guns out fighting in lines.
Oh, yeah, the
gas
lines.
Drove past it. Keep going. Through all that, all the way through Fort Myers, gas lines. Keep going. Through Bonita, starting to get a little better. Just a little bit of lines, but no gas, out of gas. A little bit further, and then finally, when I just got past Bonita Beach Road, boom, a gas station on the left. I seen all the people with their gas cans filling up gas. Got in there, got gas.
That's crazy, man.
And got some bangs, thank God, because caffeine was almost as I needed that too.
Some bangs.
Yeah, the first day I couldn't even get out of here. I tried to leave because my first thought was get up
He was
before
treed
the
in.
sun. I was treed in, so I came back and got my chainsaw. I got through the first couple of trees myself. Then I got to one area
Now, if he didn't have the saw,
where there were big ones, big
Oh,
trees.
boy.
And I was like, oh, this is going to take me a while. Now I'm calling my son because the sun is starting to come up. And I'm like, now it's time for my son to wake up. He's 19 years old now.
get out here, boy.
I said, get on your bicycle, son. That's what I told him. Get on your bicycle, and I want you to grab some waters. And I want you to grab the other saw because I got a pole saw. I said, grab the pole saw and come on up here on your bike
Help your paw.
and help your paw get these trees down. And go,
Help your paw.
and go
Help
tell
your
Lassie.
paw.
Go tell Lassie to go find us some water. And so Jordan shows up and we start sawing these trees up and he's helping me. And I look over at him and I'm like, this is going to take us a long time. I'm talking a tree that it was 40 feet high on the road with a 20 or 30 footer on the other side of the road laying on top of it with then just little trees all tangled up in it. And I'm able to cut this thing into pieces, but you have to cut it fairly small when it's that big to be able to move it with two people. So I'm cutting it up into pieces, and then all of a sudden, here comes the help.
Here come the cavalry.
This guy came with a front-end loader.
Oh, there you
Front
go.
end loader.
And he front-end unloaded.
Front end loaded that shit.
These big pieces. Now I'm able to, instead of cutting the tree up into little pieces that me and Jordan can carry,
He's
two
just
people,
grabbing the big shit.
he's just grabbing the big shit and pushing it out of the way, and he had a saw. So now we're both sawing.
Sawing and
but it was
grabbing
nice
and
because it
grabbing.
was like I never met this guy, and he lives one street over from me.
Damn
Look
it,
at
that's
that.
what I wanted to say. The thing
Community.
about this storm is the way people came together, man.
Yeah,
I
you-
just
you
went
meet-
in- my
you meet
all
your
my
neighbors.
neighbors helping each other. All my neighbors
Yep.
are friends now.
I don't know about my neighbors though in TK because now as the storm has gone through, a lot of the wreckage has gone through the trees here in this neighborhood at the studio to where now the neighbors can see us from their window. And Tomcat, didn't you say that across the street,
Yeah.
here in my nice, exclusive, private, deep in the woods neighborhood here for the studio,
Yeah.
that we can now see the neighbors thanks to this storm?
Right, because now all the I noticed I was just sitting there, just kind of, partaking, and I'm looking and I just see this giant picture window, but it's only a one-way window, and I'm just looking at this big ass picture, and
you
it's
get this picture of a
I
lady
know
standing
there's
there
somebody
look-
standing there
just
looking at me
you
like,
with disgust. Like,
look at this motherfucker just
shame
out in
on
the
you,
fucking right out in
boy,
the
shame.
So I just kind of slinked in behind the garage there. Don't you what the
I was
fuck's wrong with
like,
you?
why the hell you stepping away out? I thought the sun was in your eye.
Nah, I just realized that all the canopy of all the beautiful trees is gone. All downtown, like, I've spent a couple days downtown Fort Myers as well, and like all the docks are smashed. The boats are on top of each other. A lot of people lost their lives down there too. It's terrible. And pets, which makes me very sad because there are even pictures of pets. They have a memorial down there by the bathrooms. And the boats are all still up there, all up by the crab shack and up by the bathrooms, and they're everywhere.
I saw this one video where this
Big,
one.
big,
Did
big,
y'all?
big
Y'all
boats.
probably saw the video where that one guy saved that cat over on Bonita Beach.
Nope. Oh, a guy saved it? Well, that's good.
Yeah, it was the
good.
water. The waters were already in. And this kitty got it on top of this generator and was just there. And this dude and this girl was walking over and was like, "Gotta get the cat," because had he not gotten that cat was gone.
Yeah.
That cat would have been gone.
A
But
lot of cats were gone.
yeah, but we in my neighborhood in Bonita, so where we at, we didn't get a lot of water damage.
Not this cat, though,
but
motherfucker.
but Bonita East, everybody, all the homes that were in the canals on the Imperial River, like just lost everything.
How many days were you gone until you came back?
10 days.
And were you? Oh, you were gone. Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
'Cause
how
I'm like, I was
did
not
you
staying in the house.
afford that?
Well, he
Well-
was at his in-laws. Isn't that what he said?
yeah. For the
okay.
first part, so when
See,
we
we-
left on Tuesday,
That could possibly.
Yeah, we left on a
I got
Tuesday.
some family over there I could impose on now that I think about
hell
it.
yeah, I would. Hell yeah, I would. They come to our house, so fuck it, we coming into them. So we left on Tuesday and we stayed in Delray till Friday. Came back here to check on the house, see how what we're gonna have to do. No power. I'm like, well, call your folks, tell them we on the way. And so we were on our way to them Friday night, but then Interstate 75 got shut down north and southbound because the Myakka River, which is in between Northport and Ellington, it rose and flooded the entire interstate, so there was no way you could access it. So like it and it was all the way through the mid-state, so like 17 road, country road or state road 17 or whatever they call it here, you couldn't get through that. Arcadia was all underwater.
The
So
interstate system at
Can
one
you?
point
yeah,
was down.
Could you imagine being here? See, all these rivers are named after Indians, right?
Yeah.
Myakka, Caloosahatchee.
Mm-hmm.
Could you
Native
imagine
Americans? I don't
Caloosa-
think you can call them
Yeah, the
Indians
Native
anymore.
I
Americans.
forgot. All right, I'll be
Indigenous
today,
people.
In this episode, I will be
Yes.
kind and say indigenous people. But I forgot my point now. But anyways, all
Get
these
the
rivers are named.
chopper.
All these rivers are named after the indigenous people. Can you imagine living back then and you don't have radar and you don't know these storms are coming and a storm like this rolls through like that?
But back in the day,
Didn't they do a dance and it would rain?
It was like a different feel. Like they just knew, and they
what?
Yeah,
Man,
because you
did
think about it.
This
Because
thing,
think about it.
This thing was sneaky.
yeah. But
I don't
that-
know if it was sneaky. They were talking. I was up north before it came, and they were talking about it coming right up our ass. And my mom was
They
concerned
had
up
radar.
there. And I said, it's
not back in those days.
No, I'm saying, yeah, the Indians didn't have radar, but the old people up in north had radar. That's why they were concerned.
Well, yeah. But back in the day, think about there are storms that I'm sure made it.
That's why they
probably as
talk
bad.
about the Bermuda Triangle in this area, because they got hit by these storms, but they didn't know they were out there. Don't you think?
Oh, I'm sure that they would get surprised. But once you start hearing those winds coming in, you immediately
I mean, if
batten
you out
down
there on
the
the
hatches,
islands,
I
I mean,
guess.
if you out there on the island, I mean, you see it coming. It's like that's not good.
I don't know how far in advance you see it coming, but I
This
don't know. It
thing-
would have been a scary time because it was scary
Because
even knowing that it was coming.
If you got caught in the storm surge area of this thing, like you were out on one of those barrier islands, but
Oh,
you didn't
man.
know that it was coming, you would have died.
Oh yeah, totally.
Well, the water came all the way up to the door here at the studio. Thankfully, it came right to the lip of the door. We are thankful that we raised the floors because if we didn't, the studio probably would have been done. And sounds like Ramo, by the way, we haven't mentioned Ramo G. We tried texting him to see if he would come on live with us. We do know he is alive.
He is alive.
He is alive.
I heard him on one of the FM stations, so I'd just like to say he's able to go on the station that doesn't give him any money, but he won't come on this station when he's...
What's going on, Ramo?
Where are you, Ramo G?
Burn.
Has he texted us back on the group text?
No, not in the group text. I just checked it. He hasn't replied back yet.
Well, hopefully we'll hear from him by the end of the show, but we have heard via text that he is okay. I would also like to mention, as I have children, I know you two don't have kids, but I started thinking about what my daughter has gone through, and even my son, he's a little older. But these kids just went through COVID, and they had their whole school effed up because of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And then they just start getting back into the swing of things. And now the kids don't go to school for a whole week, and now they're saying they're not going to go to school at all next week. That's 2 weeks off of school when you just got back to school. And you just got back to school after not being in school for 2 years for COVID. So I just kind of feel for my daughter who has become stuck in her room with not much to entertain her, with COVID having her at the house.
We got to get these kids out.
We got to get them out.
Get outside.
Yeah, they gotta
the
get
weather's
outside,
beautiful.
yeah.
We've been playing softball in the backyard.
Yeah, but at least
and we've been cleaning up the yard.
Yes.
I've been putting those kids to work because, as you saw here at the studio, we had a lot of trees. And a lot of them ended up on the ground. So we've been cleaning a lot of
Somebody
trees.
going to have to cut the grass.
That's true because without the power, a lot of the kids have been out. And then me and my lady were talking about that. Hopefully they find the joy that they experience, just like riding around on the skateboard in the neighborhood or the bike and doing things outside. Although I doubt it because I miss playing video games so
I was just about
much.
to say
I
technology.
miss my video
You
game.
miss video. Which video game do you miss
I'm
the
a
most?
Call of Duty dude.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty dude.
We were playing like real life almost Call of Duty, especially when you were on the roads. I don't know how much
terrible.
driving you guys did.
I
while
had
this
people
was going
leaning
on.
out the cars and yelling at me, and I was, concerned they were going to fire off a shot and hit me.
The first day when I went out to find the gas and people were really on edge because the stores weren't open, the gas stations weren't open, and the street lights were not working. And we're talking about an area that has 1.2 million people across Collier and Lee County.
Yep.
At least. And Cape Coral being another place in this area
Lehigh
that has
Acres.
a bunch of people.
Cape Coral was the worst as far as like vigilanteism, I think.
People were looting, just going into stores. I heard that at the Ace Hardware that somebody busted and the guy came in and he stole a hat and like a fishing pole.
They busted
Didn't
in.
take anything
They
else.
did that to a place on my street up the way. There's a U-Haul place, and they have the U-Hauls parked in front of the doors. And then the guy came the next day, and he like went in there, and he was in there. And the lady said she seen him. The U-Hauls were moved, and he was in there. And then the following day, the U-Hauls were open. So she thought he was open. So she went up there to try to get something, and she didn't even realize before she got to the front door that she was stepping on glass. And when she looked inside, she saw all these like figures moving around and shit. And the vagrants were in there looting the place.
Wow.
Yeah. That was right on my street. So then they locked that place down.
It's
after
desperate
that,
times, too. I mean, you have people that I don't want to ever try to pass judgment. Obviously, that's not the thing to do. You don't want to be stealing from people.
Right.
You're a piece of shit.
But when you are in that frame of mind and you have nothing and you're fending for your family, I mean, I'm not saying that it's right what they're doing.
But you're doing what you got to do.
These maybe these people are just trying to do what they have to do. I don't know. It's because it was bad. You should never do that.
If they're getting shit for some lady and some kid at home, that's if, and I doubt it. They're probably stealing fucking beer.
Fuck you.
And
They shouldn't have done it. We should have
vagrants.
shot these
Fuck them.
motherfuckers.
Well, I don't think that, but
Well,
they
they
shouldn't be
are saying
doing
now,
it.
you come
I don't
around,
think you
you
should
get
shoot
shot.
people for stealing beers and shit, but they shouldn't be doing it because they are the losers of the storm. The people who went around and helped their neighbors and helped clean up and did their shit, you are the MVPs of the storm.
Tomcat
the people
came
who
over here
used
and
it
helped me
as an
clean up.
opportunity.
Memphis came over here and did some vacuuming at the studio.
Yeah.
They don't sound like a whole lot, though.
You don't want to be you don't want to be that. You don't want to look back on this storm and be like, "What'd you do in the storm of the century?" I stole beers from the U-Haul place.
Yeah.
Douchebags.
Douche.
Assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that I think that you may want to have a lock on is the propane. You want to have something that you can cook with as well.
You know what I heard though?
So you can make a hot meal.
I'm gonna hook you up with they
And some
have
charcoal.
generators that use propane and gasoline. Did you know?
I know that. Well, I found out. We mentioned it earlier.
Just found out about that.
One of the things you want to have, if you can afford it, is a generator. On the cheap end, $500. You can get a really nice one for $800. But the thing you want to also have, if you can afford it, you could get for about $5,000. I was told from my electrician, you can get the Big Daddy that will power your whole house, and it runs.
Is that a Generac?
It's a Generac, and it connects to your house. Mine connects to my house, but it just runs off a 10-gallon tank.
But after that, you won't be able to afford the gas for it, though.
$5,000. But think about it. If you have $5,000 and then you have one of those big propane tanks, they say that they can put so much propane in there that you could run your house, everything in it, for a couple of weeks. I mean, if you can afford that, that's the way to do it. And then if you ever have any issues, you can just keep it rolling.
How much money does the average American have in their
Are
bank
you really
account?
asking your phone that on the air?
It's also an investment in your home, you know?
Yeah,
like maybe you
definitely.
could take out a home equity loan.
$40,000.
Yeah, totally. So we have like a Generac set up at the house now.
What are you doing over there, Tom?
I'm saying how much. I said how much money does the average American have in their bank account?
What's the number?
The median bank account balance for the U.S. household is $4,500. The average bank account balance, although, is $40,000. So
the average account balance is $40,000.
Well, the median bank account balance for U.S. households is $4,500. So I guess that's checking, and the average bank account balance is. Oh, okay. Median and then average. Okay, so what's the difference between median and average?
I don't know. It seems like it would be the same
Median
thing.
is like the middle.
The middle class. Just
I would
using
say
the-
it's the same thing. The average median.
I know
is
that's what's
the
tripping me
same
out.
thing. Yeah,
but
it's
there's a
the
big
same thing.
difference between
This different way to
4,500
word
and
it.
40 grand.
It's,
Anyways,
it's fuzzy math, Tomcat.
yeah, that's
your
what I
phone
do.
is
Oh, that's
not-
I did terrible in math in school.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, adding up the things you need. So you need a generator if you can afford one. You need to
Right.
freeze some water in a bag and put it in the freezer so you have blocks of ice. You need to fill up some buckets of water if you don't have a pool or you don't have a big body of water that you can go so you can flush your toilets. You also want to get some food, some snacks and things that you can eat that don't have to be refrigerated. You want to try to stock up on at least a week's worth of grub. And if you can, stock up on the propane and get a grill or get some charcoal.
Yes.
Or some wood that you can even burn. If you have to, dry some wood out so that you could start a fire in your backyard. Make sure you got lighters. Make sure you got flashlights.
DVDs.
You're going to need flashlights, DVDs, CDs, Bluetooth speaker, battery-powered Bluetooth speaker. You want to have an FM radio. Kudos to the FM radio. I know we're not on FM anymore. I know some of us are, I guess. TK, you still work for the man. Raymo, he can't show up here, but he can show up for the man. But anyways, hopefully, does he text us back? I don't see it.
No, he hasn't texted back yet. That's what
But
I'm looking at right now.
kudos to the FM radio. I'll give them a shout out during this because this is what FM radio is about. Serving the community and being a public service and being there because I'll give radio this. And we all have been in radio.
They've been saving the day.
They are the one thing that will stay standing. The TV stations locally here in this market, they went down. Some of them, not all.
You can't get into all this from your streaming services.
And some of the radio stations went down. Some of them did. But there were a bunch of them that stood strong, and they were the voices. They were the way to get the information out.
And they've had this Operation Storm thing going on, and all the radio stations have had like the same programming, and they've been giving out information. When I hadn't heard a radio, I hadn't heard a voice outside of like people telling me the Sanibel Causeway was out, telling me, and I'm like, is my job still standing?
But that
no one would tell me. I'm like, have you seen it? Is it still standing?
Yeah, I saw.
Like,
we was looking on
days.
TV, and I was like, oh man! When I saw the Lonnie Kyle, and I thought, I'm like, fuck.
Oh yeah, it's brutalized, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Fucking
TK
still
DJ's
standing.
got a place right there.
One of
on
my
the
favorite
beach.
places. It's still standing, but we don't. Is Doc's Beach House in Bonita, where I'm at.
Yeah, Docs.
And
It looked like it took a beating though.
It did. So the bottom part is like all jacked up, gone.
That's what the Lonnie
But
Kai's like.
Upstairs, it's totally intact. And then they
That's
had
what
like
the
a little
Lonnie
tiki
Kai's
hut.
like.
They had this tiki hut that was built by the Native Americans. Still standing.
You see what I was saying, right?
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm not saying that they probably had hurricanes back then, so it's not like we have the hurricanes because of the Native Americans or anything like that. But imagine if you were back then. You'd have to be in tune with it because, man, if one of those things hit you and you were all up in some trees and shit, that'd be your ass.
Memphis, what is your thoughts, Memphis, on climate change? Because I know the president, Joe Biden, actually showed up to the area here where we are at ground zero of the hurricane, and he did reference, we got to make sure we're taking a look at climate change because, these storms are devastating, and why are they happening, and is there anything that we can do? Obviously, we can prepare better. But do you think that these storms are getting stronger, and do you think it has anything to do with climate change?
Well, I do think the storms are getting bigger. I mean, and you got to look at it from not just the United States, because most people will look in this here, but you got to look around the world, because what we call hurricanes or typhoons and cyclones in other places around the world, and they're worse in these other places. You also have cities around the world where the water is rising. These coastal cities like Venice in Italy. Shit, I'm surprised it's still around because it's practically underwater. There are places in India that are sinking. There are other islands that are literally sinking. Here in Florida, most people don't think what's going on in Miami, like it's cool to go there. But Miami, a good rainstorm is underwater. Like you can't go to South Beach. You can't go to Brickell because it's literally all underwater and it's getting worse. And some people don't think these storms have anything due to global warming, but it is. I mean, the water's staying warmer, and I'm speaking from a guy who I've been to Florida maybe 12 years or something now.
I think the globe actually dropped. I don't think it's getting hotter. I think it's getting cooler.
Nah, I'm talking about because you got to think over here on our side of the country, like the Atlantic and Gulf side, the water is warmer versus the Pacific, which the water is colder. You see what I mean? And they don't have like hurricanes in like California and Washington State.
They have earthquakes.
They have earthquakes though.
I mean, everywhere has their thing.
You got
tornadoes in the Midwest.
Yep.
And you got the freezing cold. Like I've heard of the snowstorms. I've never lived through one of those massive snowstorms where
I can tell you
the power goes out and you got to stay warm. It's a whole nother way of survival.
Hell yeah, that's when you like. They tell you the whole warnings. They were telling people don't put kerosene inside and stuff like that. We our ass.
I was wrong about the temperature. Earth's temperature has risen by 0.14 Celsius degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, wait. 0.14 degrees Fahrenheit or 0.08 Celsius per decade since 1880. But the rate of warming since 1981 is more than twice that at 0.32% Fahrenheit or 0.18% Celsius.
There's more of us here. There's more of us here. On
2021.
Yeah, there are definitely more people
based on NOAA's temperature data.
But I think we as human beings have to take it more serious because it's not like we have somewhere else to go.
One thing I noticed about these storms after watching them for the short 45 years that I've been here, which is like not even a speck of what's going on this planet.
Well, in your lifetime, you've seen at least 3 or 4 pretty impressive storms.
What I have noticed is
that
it does seem like they're strengthening faster.
Yeah.
That's what I see. Like the rapid intensification they were talking about. I do believe that that's a real thing because I think that I've started to see that more now than something I don't remember seeing as a child.
Well,
there were some storms that I remember seeing like 5 years ago that were going off towards Mexico, but they rapidly intensified. Well, one that hit Texas that really rapidly intensified.
Oh yeah, we think about this
Texas.
too, right? Like, so for the past 4 years, like Florida has gotten ridiculously lucky when hurricanes because all the other Gulf Coast states.
They used to say we're due.
Texas,
they used to say we're due. They didn't
Louisiana,
even say it because we hadn't had
God
one
bless
in so
Louisiana. Except I hope my Vols beat LSU tomorrow. But they are in a direct. They get nailed all the time.
Houston is another place.
Houston, Mississippi,
the Panhandle.
The Panhandle.
Alabama,
that's why when they said this thing was
just
going,
2 years ago.
That's why when they said this thing was going to the Big Bend, we're just like, yeah, it's going to the Big Bend. But I'll tell you what really freaked me out was that cold front that was coming down.
Yep.
And they were all going, oh, yeah, storm's going to go up and it's going to keep going up. But there's this cold front coming down and it's going to meet the storm. And I'm just like, now, hot and cold don't mix. And I'm like, what happens when hot meets cold? It repels. So why wouldn't that cold front fucking bounce the fucking storm right into us? Oh, guess what it did? It bounced the fucking storm right into us.
But tell you how bad Ian was. I told my wife this. She didn't believe it till it actually happened. I said, Ian's going to come right and do what he's doing on our side, going to cut through the mid-state, which it did, went up through Orlando and Lakeland and all stuff, messed and did a ton of flooding, Daytona. It's going to go out to the Atlantic. and they thought, oh, it's gonna just
Marry on. That was
and
gonna
I'm
be
like,
bad
nope.
enough.
And I'm like, nope, it's gonna strengthen up again, and it's gonna hit lower like Savannah, South Carolina, and it turned from a tropical storm and went back in the Atlantic, powered up to a Cat 2 and hit them.
Yeah,
Sure
did. It actually could have done worse to my house when I think about it. If it would have come in from a different angle and pushed the storm surge more on my house instead of the beach and Sanibel, it could have completely destroyed
I was worried about y'all, man. I was,
that was terrifying.
I was at a bar in Delray, and I'm like drinking, and I'm nervous, and I'm like shook, and the bartender's looking at me like, "What's wrong, man?" I'm like, "Cause I'm worried about my friends."
This is what I'm starting to think. You should have family on either side of Florida that you can go to. That's how you beat these things. You should have a house on either side of Florida.
But they gotta be
both of them should not be in the flood zone.
Stacked, though. You gotta be stacked.
You should be able to go from, it's coming this way. Well, bye.
Yeah, we can go the other way. That's what we did.
Bye.
We went, and another cool thing, we didn't have to stay at a hotel, but my sister and brother-in-law live over there in Boca, which is like right there next to Delray. I mean, it's literally like a stone's throw. But I'm like, I don't be around.
Delray's beautiful.
Delray is amazing.
Shouts out to Delray.
Hell yeah.
Watch out for that train out there, though. That train is moving through town.
And you know what? There was this cop. It was earlier this year. The wife and I were over there. And I'm on the train track, but I'm waiting for somebody in front of me to move up so I can go. And he was yelling at me like, you need to hurry up and
get out of
the way because the train going to hit you. And I'm like, what the hell you talking about? I hadn't seen the train yet. So the cars move and we get up. And so he comes over and he's talking to me like, dude, I'm trying to save your life. I'm like, I know about moving out of the train. He said, no, this train is different. I'm like, what are you talking about? Ding, 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 ding. The shit's come down. The train comes by. I'm like, God damn.
It's like one of those rides at
it's like
Disney.
a bullet train.
One of those water
I don't like
drives.
it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
So this train we
it's
talking
right
about
in the middle of the drinking district.
It's
Everybody's drinking.
literally.
They're walking around. Dude, imagine downtown Fort Myers. Everybody's going from bar to bar, and then there's a train
right
going
in the
about.
middle.
It just goes 80 miles an hour. What's the point? Why does it need to go 80 miles an hour?
Well, because it's
a speed train.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
It's the route is from Miami to West Palm, but they're going to extend it up to
Like
Orlando.
it's like the Orange Blossom Special.
Yeah, I forget the name of it though.
I guess they ain't
it's
picking
really
up no
cool.
supplies on that stop. Imagine they were like, "Oh, here they come!" You gotta like throw the shit on the train.
But then the crazy
grab
thing
it.
too, they have like the regular trains, them long ass trains that are on the same track and whatnot. And so it's been plenty of times where I do a gig over there and I'm on the wrong side of the track because I need to get it to go to 75 to leave, and you just there
Waiting.
It's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go park and go to the bar across the street or find another cool place to get something to eat. But Delray, I highly suggest that you
Delray's
visit,
beautiful.
and also to
Gorgeous
follow
beach.
up TK's point and advice. It is good to have relatives. If you're living in Florida, you better have relatives or somebody you're really, really cool with that lives on the other side of the state, just in case you like, you know what?
Because going up the state, I mean, you can go up the state, I guess, but you're still going to be feeling it because Orlando got walloped.
Oh,
but
they
if you
did.
go straight across, the chances of it really bothering you are really not
Right.
that good.
There's been storms that go through Miami and then come right across and
Andrew, but it
did
didn't do
that.
anything. It ripped up some
It
trees.
flooded over here. It wasn't.
I was
it wasn't
outside
It
with my
wasn't anything
skateboard.
like
It
this
was-
one, but it wasn't pretty. There's some areas.
My
that
mom,
flooded.
back in the day, my mom would put tape on the windows.
Oh yeah, I remember
Like
that.
did some shit. I
It did,
I
a
watched the
little bit.
Weather Channel. The Weather Channel was shooting 2x4s through the windows at 40 mile per hour with a little with a baseball thrower. Went right through that shit like it wasn't even there. They put it with the tape
But your
without the
mom
tape.
thinking this is gonna hold it intact. This is gonna be all right.
Listen, they even put the plywood up. Still went through, but it
Oh, yeah.
stopped it a little bit. But those ones you got with the metal ones, they work.
Well, I like to look at things and look at the glass half full, and I feel like it was good for my family. I was able to show my son things like how to work the electrical box, how to run a generator.
Yeah.
How to flush the toilet with pouring the water in it and using the pool, and teaching him how, he already did know how to use a chainsaw, but, teaching him how to lead, and then teaching him how you're going to have failures, because we did have failures where the water stopped working and we had
Thought you lost your wallet.
Yeah, there was a time where I thought I lost my wallet. I was going to help people, and I lost my chainsaw at one point. It was just, I was on the road trying to help people, and it was making my struggle of trying to get by worse, because at one point I think I'm losing my wallet. I talked to my whole family. Nobody knew where it was. It's like the last place I used it was Target. I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I don't have an ID. I can't go into a bank. No banks are open. How am I going to get access to my money? A lot of these gas stations were only taking cash.
Yep.
You want to talk about another item you want to have?
You want to keep
cash money.
Cash is king, folks. You want to keep some cash.
But not so much cash that somebody's going to bop you over the head for
Well,
it.
that's why you need a gun.
No.
I had my strap.
Yep,
I mean, it's
definitely.
unfortunate that I had to do this, but when I got out on the streets and I saw that people were looting and I saw the people that were on meth or whatever the dude was on that was flexing at my car like he wanted to fight everyone, I said, I need to, every time I go out in this atmosphere, I need to have my strap on me, and it needs to be loaded because people are very tense. And it was like that here for 48 hours in this town because people were fending for their family. If you
But the
didn't-
one thing
if you didn't get the food or the gas or the water, you know, how do you survive? It's tough if you're not prepared.
The one thing that made me worry about that a little bit less was the amount of amazing first responders that surged into this area. We had National Guard, I saw. We had all these Miami police
It
departments.
was
I
the
saw
police
them,
departments from like
pouring
as
in.
far as like Tampa came down. They had
They were everywhere, and they were all the way out in the Cape. But there at nights we had to have our windows open, and the generators were on.
Yeah,
and
you heard 'em.
my buddy who lives next to me, my neighbor who told me about the gas in Bonita, he told me there was a guy riding around on a bicycle, and he was sleeping by the window, and he saw the flashlight come on, go off. Flashlight come on, go off.
What was he
And then
doing?
his
trying to
neighbor-
siphon gas.
Nope. His neighbor said the dude was riding around on a bike, turning on the light, looking in the houses, seeing who was there, who wasn't, who was home, who wasn't, turning it off, scouting for people to come rob the houses and shit, loot.
I would have ran up on
Found
his
the
ass.
Cape.
Yeah, I would have ran up on his ass.
He didn't know what it was. He didn't know what he was seeing. The neighbor thought it was a lady. The lady seen him. And then he was sleeping and saw it. 4 a.m, he said it was. Because we had to sleep with her. So I started putting after we turned off the generator to go sleep at night, I started putting it much closer to the house and putting my gas closer to the house. And then we were like keeping one ear open.
Well,
you have to.
We ended up finding my wallet. My kid ended up having it in his pocket.
That's always good.
So I'm like on my way to Target, the last place I went, trying to see if that's where my wallet is, thinking to myself, all right, I'm going to have to try to come up with the solution of how I'm going to get my ID. I'm going to have to like get enough gas to drive to another town and hope that they'll let me get access to my money and get a new bank card and a new ID.
No wallet, no ID, no bank card.
Yep.
You're fucked.
No marijuana card.
Oh,
shit.
boy. We're
You
screwed.
can use your ID at the dispensary, though, so you're good.
Yeah. But
if you lose your wallet, you don't have your ID.
Well, he couldn't. He would have had to go to. I don't know what he would have been. He
Well,
would have had
here's
to get
what,
his
I
his
luckily
birth
have-
certificate.
I moved recently in the last 2 years, and I have my ID that has my address from where I used to live that has my name on it, and it's an ID that's still, according to the date, is still valid for another couple years.
It actually
So-
says Jimmy Crack Corn
Says-
on there.
And he don't care.
He don't care at all.
It's cornball.
So I have that at the house. So my thought was, if I didn't find my wallet, that was my exit or strategy, was to get out of this problem, take this ID and take it to the bank. But there's no banks open at this point.
Nope.
When I thought this was like day 2, I was out sawing somebody's yard and doing good deeds, trying to help people get out of their house because I have a nice chainsaw, and then end up losing my chainsaw in Cape Coral. Somebody stole it. And then
Rat bastards.
and then I think I lose my wallet.
Yeah,
So
it
it was a
bounced-
stressful day.
It literally bounced off the back. He went out there to help somebody with his chainsaw to chop up the trees in their yard. On the way back, it bounced off the back of his truck. At the stoplight, pretty much right after that,
Somebody stopped me and was like, "Hey, you dropped your chainsaw. You need to go back and get it."
I'll take the
I-
rat bastard back.
I went back and it's gone.
It's gone.
I'm like, "Where's my chainsaw?"
They got it off the
But
ground.
luckily,
it bounced off his truck.
I went by the Ace Hardware and they had a chainsaw, the exact one I had, and I picked up another one. I was like, obviously, I guess that guy needs it more than me.
So then he was a rat bastard.
Gentry's positive energy through this thing.
Well,
was
you gotta have a
definitely
good
helpful
perspective, man.
to
You got
me
you
through
know.
this storm.
You
for
mu- I
sure.
just thought this person must need it, and it was an old. I mean, it was a good saw. Don't get me wrong. I love that saw, but I luckily, thankfully, by the grace of God, had a little bit of money in the bank. I was able to go get another saw, and I'm still gonna try to help people. I got about 4 or 5 people, and I'm cutting myself off. Unfortunately, I put a picture on the internet of me with my saw, feeling like I wanted to try to stop and help the world, and then everybody inundated me. I must have had 25 requests.
Oh
It's like,
yeah.
I can't go cut everybody out of their house. But I've already done like 4 people, and I plan to do at least 4 or 5 more that I'm going to do this weekend. And that's going to be my good deed. And I kind of enjoy using my chainsaw because,
You get to
it's
destroy
very
shit.
manly. I come home with a lot of testosterone.
Look what I did, woman.
Wah!
It is almost
Where's my steak?
It's almost Halloween. Can I use it for Halloween? Just take the chain off and I can
I don't
run
know.
around
I'm
with the
afraid.
neighborhood.
I'm afraid to
Nah,
lose
you're
it.
gonna be in trouble.
I don't want to lose it again.
And plus, I think the curfew's still gonna be going on. You know, so.
They're gonna ruin Halloween, aren't they?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But this whole town is a haunted house, so
Literally, want to get
looks like it too.
Hey, you want to freak some rich people out? Take them down there and show them all those boats. They get scared shitless. Oh my god!
Yeah, they are. They are. I've been down there. They're people are horrified about those boats.
Got Bentleys and Rolls Royces in trees.
It's wild. That's another thing. There's so many cars. There's cars everywhere. There's just cars in ditches.
People's cars got ruined. Our friend Jay that works here at the studio, his car got ruined in downtown Fort Myers, and he's getting close to getting a check from the insurance company.
Nice.
But I saw Wendy downtown. Her car got ruined.
I hear these insurance companies are going to be in big trouble down here.
Why?
Because, think of all the claims they're going to have to take care of.
They don't got no money.
Well, they're going to cry that they don't have any money. That's
try to raise your rates and everybody shit like that. Fuck that, man.
Probably raise
insurance is a scam.
Well,
Health insurance,
yeah,
auto insurance, home insurance.
I'm glad you guys are okay. You know, it was scary, but we made it through it. And
Still standing.
Our power just got on. It is October the 7th, 2022.
2022.
The storm, the storm was 8-9 days ago. That's how long we went without power here.
Yeah, we've been in the thick of it, man.
Next time we're gonna try to go live from the storm. Hopefully there's not a next time, but
if y'all do that, I'll call in from somewhere else and be like,
I'll be with you, Memphis, this time.
I'm writing it out.
TK.
I'm leaving Team Novak.
My whole life is here, you know.
You know what? And I was worried about TK. You be one like, you know what?
About
I'm
vaccines,
Florida man.
I'm talking evacuation.
I'm standing here. I figured Gentry be the one be like, yeah, we gonna get out of here. But TK, I'm glad to hear that you say you leave. Gentry, we got to work on you, man.
I'm staying here, man. If we got through that one, we can get through any storm. Fuck you!
Florida
Gentry now. Back on Gentry's team.
Come stay with me, Tomcat. I got bullets. I got propane. I got gas. I got water. I got guns. Fuck you, Hurricane. I'll stand on my roof with my middle fingers in the goddamn air. You can suck on my... You know.
Just don't shoot the gun at the hurricane. It might not work.
USA! Okay. Anybody heard from Ramo?
Not yet. No. Nothing yet.
Tune in next week to see if the freaking Puerto Rican is even alive. So long.